Welcome to One Word Stories, episode 61. My name is Joanna Zell, and I'm really happy to greet a very special guest of mine, Florence Chabert-Dier. Bonjour.
Bonjour, Joanna.
So, it's my pleasure to have you in my podcast.
And it's an honor to be on your podcast.
I'm so happy our paths have crossed, you cannot imagine. We had, above all, lots of laughing moments.
Yes, we did.
But also lots of touching moments. And you were, let's say, opening or co-opening the second day of the Theatre Europa conference organized in Lille, Liesec, where we are sitting right now, right? And I would like to just ask you, what about your mosaic identity?
Yes, thank you. So I think I fell into the intercultural potion when I was a little girl. I'm an adoptee, I'm a third culture kid, and I'm raising 3 third culture kids. I had the chance to move all around the world, and I lived in Switzerland, in Australia, in New York, and also in the Middle East. And I think this is why we're here today, because I spent more than a decade in Dubai and Saudi Arabia. And now I am based in London. So I moved from the sun to the rain.
Exactly. And you are also multilingual, right?
Exactly. So
how many languages do you actually speak?
About 4 or 5.
Tell us more. Français, n'est-ce pas?
Français, English, German, Spanish, a bit of Italian because my mom is Italian, and a little bit of Arabic.
Fantastic. So, inshallah, we will cover everything we want to cover, right?
Exactly.
Because we've got so much to talk about right now. As you have heard, Florence is the person to go as, let's say, this third culture kid, right? And also as a person who moved so many times as an expat. And actually, I was really impressed, particularly when you talked about the period when you moved to Dubai and afterwards to Saudi Arabia. Because what actually happened was that you, Florence, experienced the huge transformation in Saudi Arabia, and particularly women role over there.
Exactly. It was really amazing because I moved in the Middle East in 2010. I was newlywed, so it's always important because, as we know, in the UAE, family is really the main value, I would say. And there's a huge difference between Dubai and Saudi. Most of the time, I don't like to compare countries because each country has something to bring us. This is why I created the burger metaphor of identity. So this is how we actually build our burger, thanks to all the ingredients, the values, our cultural intelligence we develop, the global mindset that we develop, the needs that we need to fulfill in this juicy burger. But I always say that Dubai is like New York under the sun.
I agree, fully agree, yeah.
And what happened is that we don't find information about Saudi. We do find information about Dubai. But even if I was so close geographically to Saudi, I couldn't find anything. So you don't know, you have all those stereotypes. You don't know what's going to be once you will be there. The only thing you know is that you have to wear an abaya.
Exactly.
So what happened is when I arrived, I had my black abaya, but when I was in the country, I found out that you could have pink abayas, blue abayas, because I really witnessed the fact that when I arrived, I couldn't drive, there were no movies, there were no music in the malls, and what really fascinated me is that women, any ads we had, the women were actually covered, but covered by a sticker or covered because we couldn't see women like in ads, and this really, being a multilingual, being an ATCK, it's tricky.
Exactly, because you said that you actually joined this new world like 2016, 2017,
yeah, exactly.
right? And it was exactly the time when the catalog published by IKEA made headlines in different European and non-European, US American magazines worldwide, because what actually happened was that IKEA, as a strategy, decided to remove all the female images from the catalog so that one can sell pieces of furniture in Saudi Arabia.
IKEA is my happy place.
Today, but would they do it today?
No, not anymore. So the country opened. I think we have this misunderstanding of the place of the woman in Saudi. So what happened, for example, I'm a big fan of McDonald's. So we would go to McDonald's, but you would have like separate counters. So we had like the family counter, you would have like the men counter. And no one would mix, you wouldn't sit with single people. It was the same. So I had a driver. I was lucky to have a driver. Otherwise, you would go to IKEA, you would go to Carrefour. Thank God there was a Carrefour in Hobart. You would go there by bus because you didn't have this freedom of mobility. And little by little, we saw that things changed. And because I have my GCC driving license, I was kind of allowed to drive, because what they did is that they give the right to women to start to drive. And little by little, expat women were also allowed to drive. And this is a huge change, both for the country, but also as expats, because you really are able to see the city differently.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not only about driving and empowering women, right? But also this world of obviousness. Whenever I try to explain it to people in the European context, I give this example that actually, for example, in the academia context, university, it wouldn't be possible to have classes in the same room. So let's say I'm teaching a class and in Riyadh, because it doesn't apply so much to the cities in the north, right? But in Riyadh particularly, which is very, very conservative, I would have classes with male students in one room, whereas the female students would follow the classes via video call, right?
Exactly, online.
Online, yeah. So this has changed, right?
It has changed. And I had a question for you. Would the women online show their face, or would the camera was out?
Yeah, good question. I struggle because, you know, it's a very, very complex question. It's not only about showing your face as a woman, but showing and also what is behind as a person. So I know it from the Arab context that they are not really keen on showing the interior of this private space where they live, right?
And this changed.
Yeah.
So that's why now today we have schools for women, and they are allowed to be with men. They also have way more access to education. They have like sponsorships to go to study in the US, in the UK, and most of them, they come back with all of this knowledge. And little by little, they actually have really great situation. They can work in multinational companies. As before, they would be like more in administration position. They would work like for banks. They would work like for the government. But all of this changed. Also, something that we didn't see and that I learned when I was in Saudi is that most of the women, they really want, like, you know, to have not only their financial independence, but also a voice. So most of them, they were entrepreneurs. Yeah. But you don't see this when you arrive in the country.
Exactly.
So this was amazing because I would go to the nursery to bring my little girl, and I would see like women, and they would be like, oh no, I need to go to work. I was like, oh, where do you go to work?
Exactly.
And she was like, no, I have my own company of beauty, of this, of that. And I was like, oh, there's something going on, you know? And it's great because they really took their voice, and all of their studies was not just, don't get me wrong, not just being at home, but they had the right to actually build their own career.
Exactly. And actually, when I was at the Biennale Architecture last year, I saw an amazing project of a library, public library in the heart of Riyadh. And this is the first official space where women and men mingle from the very beginning, in the foyer, in the entrance. So, you know, it has changed so much within, within the last 10 years,
10
right?
years, yeah, already 10 years.
10
You're
years.
right, yeah. And something that I wanted to mention as well is we have Riyadh, the capital, okay? And we had like, so I was in Dammam in Al Khobar, and you had like a huge influence of Americans because of Aramco. And what happened is you had like this huge building in the middle of the desert, which is called Ithra.
Yeah, exactly.
And Ithra is just a melting pot where at first you would have like no music, only like activities or exhibitions. And from the time I arrived until I stayed about 4 years in Saudi, you were able like to see the Zauberflöte from Mozart, you see. And you had like music, you had comedies, you had shows, and men and women would actually go as we would go in Europe. And when I arrived in 2016, never on earth you would have imagined it would have been possible.
Exactly. This is also, my memory from actually the Kingdom of Bahrain.
Yeah.
Because Bahrain is connected with Saudi Arabia by the bridge.
Exactly. I know the bridge very well.
I assume you do. Because back then it was the only possibility to come to the island, to Bahrain, to party, right? So Friday morning, afternoon, the bridge, and afterwards the highway was really crowded by plenty cars coming, obviously from Saudi Arabia, with people who just wanted to have party weekend,
exactly.
Right?
And it's quite funny because what I used to do is that my husband at the beginning would drive until the border of Bahrain, and as soon as we were in Bahrain, I would take the car and drive on my own. And you change when you are at the borders and it's only a bridge. And this is how somehow, if you don't have the right mindset, not the right mindset, but if you don't have the global mindset of understanding that you have to adapt, you're just like, why? And and when the country changed, it changed the whole of the environment and the experience.
Definitely.
And now they have so many projects. Now expat women can go and work on their own. They can have their own visa. It's changing so much. They are welcoming so many congresses like today. Maybe we'll do one in Saudi one day. And it's really empowering.
Yeah, and by the way, apropos women and women position, but also women in leadership, right? You have just emphasized that there are the expat women coming in leadership position to work in Saudi Arabia. Has changed this attitude towards women in leadership position within this 10 years as well?
Definitely.
This is what I can imagine, right? Because I still remember the moment, let's say 10, 12 years ago, that they really had to be introduced by a male, I don't know, board member or whoever. The higher hierarchy, the better, right? That they have the credibility emphasized by men, that they are taken seriously. Yeah, let's put it this way.
Yeah, I completely, it's exactly what happened. I think it really shifted, as I mentioned. They would have like, like office administration jobs, and little by little, they would have the opportunity to grow within the company. Maybe they would have also the opportunity, like to show their voice, to manage projects, because the country is growing so quickly. So it's what we call Saudization. So in most of the companies, you need to have such quota of women, such quota of Saudi women, such quota of Saudis, and this really created a melting pot. And we can see that little by little. It takes time because it's not the country that changed the quickest way. But and we can really see today that they are like us. We don't have to wear abayas anymore. We just have, like, obviously it's still a Muslim country, so we have to be respectful and wear long sleeve or trousers. But everyone, I think, understands that everyone has a voice, and if they want the country to have an image or reputation worldwide, or just show how open they are, in this sense, they really empower and help everyone to be able to build the country.
Exactly, because it's also following the vision, right?
Exactly. And we can see that with Alula. I don't know if you've been there.
I haven't been there.
Not yet. We have to go there. Alula is so beautiful, and they want to attract tourists as well. Because what happened when I was in Saudi, you would have like beautiful places completely empty, and and no one would be there. And now, little by little, everyone is started to come because it's such a beautiful country. It's now open, and it's not. Yeah, I think this is a goal also today to make sure that please don't have stereotypes about Saudi Arabia, because even if you cannot find info, and that's why we're sitting
Yeah,
here,
exactly.
it's such a beautiful country where women are really empowered today.
Exactly. What I can actually imagine that women who are, let's say, more traditional and also belonging to a, let's put it this way, older generation,
Yeah.
that they experience the culture shock in their own country.
Completely. But I think also they are proud that their daughters can
Yeah.
have the lives that they were not able to have somehow.
They were deprived of, let's
Exactly.
say. Yeah.
And I think, and it's important, it's that they have the choice. I'm
Yeah.
a big fan of the choice theory. We didn't have time to talk about that, but I think they have the choice to go and study. They have the choice to work, to come back in their country, because before they would like stay. It's a lot of wedding arrangement, and they were just like going from their dads to their husband, basically.
Yes, exactly, exactly. You know, what actually has changed as well is that the patriarchic structures, let's say, I don't want to say that they are disrupted, because no, it's not about that, yeah. But let's say in the daily life, you see slight shift in behavior. So, for example, what about body language? What about, you know, this issue that is very, very common in Arabic countries, that it's a sign of respect not to look in someone's eyes. Yeah, and this is the sign of respect. So you don't look, you don't gaze at someone, you don't look into the eyes. It's really not polite. Yeah, as
It's
that
changed. So, as a
changed?
woman working in Saudi, men are very mindful of not, you know, making exactly like gestures that could be uncomfortable. So, if you go and work there, you have to take your posture. You have to go and shake hands, because they won't go and shake your hand because they don't want physical contact. It's the same with eyesight. It's the same. We have a concept which is called alamin. Alamin means on the right. So you can be like careful to these kind of tips, because that means that if the man would say, please go from the right, that would mean that he really respects you. It's also the same, you know, like time management. Now, if they know that they have an appointment, most of the time they'll be on time or 10 minutes late, but it's not 2 or 3 hours like before. So they really try to have also this, I would say, general business processes or protocols, and that's really changed
Yeah.
as well. And something also that is really important, because when you arrive in the country, in Saudi in the summer it's really, really hot.
Yeah.
So you don't really know what to do. And I experienced, and that was my main experience, I experienced the fact that I went to see a movie with men, women in Saudi, and it was a brand new movie, and is where I really felt like, oh wow, the change is here. I'm driving, the
Yeah.
movies are here. They stopped putting stickers on women's face in the ads. There's music in the mall, and yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. Because as you see, when we talk about cultures, yeah, it's really, culture is a set of stories that we enter, but also the set of stories we co-create. So actually, it's co-created at the moment to a huge extent,
Yeah.
because of the opening of the borders, not only to talent from outside of Saudi Arabia and to people going there to work,
Exactly.
but also to new mindsets, right?
Oh, I can talk about that. It took me 4 years to move to Saudi. My husband was going back and forth, and I was like, no way, I'm not going to Saudi, because I couldn't find info. I didn't know. I was afraid of losing my freedom, because I lived so long in Dubai. And one day I was like, why not?
Yeah.
And I went there and I really saw with my own eyes what was going on. I thought I was not able to be, you know, like continue my job and do what I wanted to do. And at the end, I found out that I was able to train over there. So I moved to Riyadh, to Jeddah, and I was doing intercultural trainings. And it's great because Saudis are very open and they want to welcome you and they want to understand our cultures. So it was great because I would train people going to Saudi to work with them, and I would train Saudis to welcome also expats. And in the end, I think it was one of my best expats.
Wonderful. Wonderful. One of the best expat experiences.
Exactly.
Wow. So, breaking with stereotypes, right?
Exactly.
Breaking with the danger of the single story. Thank you so, so much, Florence. It
My
was
pleasure.
really an eye-opener. Where can we find you? Because you have released the book.
Yes.
I'm a citizen of the world, so obviously you can find Florence in different corners of the world. What is your virtual place to go?
It's just to mention, I actually wrote the book in Saudi.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it has a special bond as well. I think LinkedIn is the best way to find me. So Florence Chaberdière, and yeah, please feel free to ask me any questions.
Perfect. Perfect. And we will put
Thank
the
you.
link below the video. And thank you so, so much. One word that is important for you to overcome different challenges and different stereotypes, what would be such a word?
Mindset.
Mindset. And the story behind is in the book and maybe in more conversations, right? Thank you so much.
Vielen Dank, Joanna.